Good afternoon. This is my first afternoon video. Basically, I've had loads of things going on today and I haven't had time to get a video done this morning. So this is the first afternoon video in 34 days. Now, I could have kicked my arse and done it this morning, but I was that busy. So what I want to talk about today is sometimes life happens. And when life happens, you can't always get the things that you want to get done in that time. And so I want to talk about being kind to yourself, because we can get caught up in, I've got to do this, I've got to do it, I've got to do it, I've got to do it. And then you just don't get it done, and you spend probably the next month or months kicking yourself for not doing it. Now, you see this a lot in the gym and running. So, say for example, you have this intention. Actually, great thing, New Year's resolutions. People start out at the gym and they have this intention. I'm going to go perhaps 5 to 7 times a week. They get to day probably 20 or 30 or maybe even last 2 months, and then they kind of, I'm not seeing results, so then I'll stop, and then they'll stop going, or they might start going once or twice a week, and then that turns to none. So today I just want to talk about be kind to yourself, because sometimes you just can't do it. You can't get something done. And quite often people have a to-do list of say 10 to 20 things, and perhaps they don't get 2 things done, and they get the other 8 or whatever number they get done. And because they didn't get the 2 things done, they are going mad at themselves. They are thinking about that rather than thinking about what they did do. So it's about being kind to yourself and looking at the things that you did do. Look at the positives. Look at the positives of the day. It's very easy. I'm sure we're all programmed as human beings to focus on the negatives. And it's about focusing on the positives. Because when you focus on the positives, that's what you're taking into the next day. So you already got a positive mindset because you've got focused on the positives from the day before. And then you focus on the positives again. Because there's always positives. But if you focus on the negatives, you get into a habitual pattern focusing on negatives. So 2 things. Be kind to yourself, number 1. Number 2, focus on the positives rather than focus on the negatives. And that's today's lesson. It felt the right thing to do with myself not doing a morning session, a morning video, shall I say. But yeah, I've had a busy 2 days. So anyway, speak to you tomorrow.